the destruction of Gaza and destruction of medical education in Gaza is not just about the buildings, but it's also about the people, the attempted destruction of the expertise and the manpower and the human power that's in Gaza. I've been going back to Gaza as a chair of FQMS and also as an examiner for a number of years now. And what we see now is, as we all say, unprecedented. I'll tell you a little bit about what the structure of medical education is. I'm drawing upon the experience that I have with FQMS, and I'll also tell you about what people's lives are like now and the students that I've been working with and also talking to personally over the last few weeks, and tell you where we think things are going to go in the future. There are two medical schools in the West Bank which are recognized. There are more. There are two other medical schools for Jenin and Khalil, which are on the way to recognition. But the ones that we work with in FQMS are the Al-Najah Medical School and Al-Quds Medical School in Nablus and on the outskirts of Jerusalem, respectively. The Gazan situation is that there are two medical schools there. One is called Al-Azhar. Al-Azhar traditionally was affiliated with the Al-Quds Medical School, and it was set up because travel between Gaza and the West Bank and Jerusalem was very, very difficult, and therefore it was set up as an outshoot of the Al-Quds Medical School to allow medical schools from Gaza to study in Gaza and not have to travel. And then the Islamic University was set up in the early 2000s as well. We deal with the four medical schools as an organization, and our function really is to help with the delivery of education, but also help with providing funding for projects as well as scholarships. FQMS, which stands for the Al-Quds Foundation for Medical Schools in Palestine, was registered in the UK as a charity in 1997, and was initially registered to try and help with the setting up, establishment, and running of the Al-Quds Medical School, hence the name Al-Quds. But since the expansion, we've maintained the name, changed it slightly, and work with the four medical schools. We have a board which is made up of members who are medics and non-medics with a lot of expertise in a variety of areas. And we have had a successful number of years in terms of our productivity. We have partnerships and projects which cover a variety of things. We provide bursaries for medical students. We provide scholarships for excelling medical students with partners like the Madrina Trust, as well as buying equipment and laboratory and material. And we also provide help with day-to-day work, such as transport project, which we had in Gaza prior to the war, helping students travel from one campus to the other because of the great expense of travel and the general poverty within Gaza's population. And our annual budget is about 350 to 450,000 pounds annually. Gaza now, and I saw this myself before I came back last week, is something that we all know. It's documented, and I've reported on it myself when I'm asked about the healthcare situation, which is my capacity when I went there recently. The people's lives are very much, I would say, destroyed. Their homes are destroyed. The attempt is to destroy their will to live in Gaza, and that's very, very clear, because what we've seen is the destruction of not just universities, but also schools, as well as hospitals that we have all seen. People returning to pick up their belongings are targeted, and the targets usually are young men of fighting age, as they're called. So these are 18 to 24-year-olds who happen to be in that age group and are targeted because the Israeli forces believe that these men may be part of the fighting population. Other stories about the tents that they live in, and I've had many stories from patients and their families I've spoken to who show me pictures of their homes before their destruction. One particular story sticks in my mind of Safa. She lives in a house which she showed me a picture of, which was a two-story house with gardens around it, citrus fruit, and happens to be, unfortunately for her and her family, near the Khan Yunis Israel border. That home has been completely destroyed, and this was not collateral damage. This was targeted, as I could see from the pictures. The particular shelling clusters around during Ramadan, during the iftar and suhoor times, the meal times during fasting for those who are fasting, was particularly noticeable. The targeting of schools. I was in Gaza 10 days ago, and I was involved with part of the team that had to deal with 3 children who came in one morning who were sheltering in a school, and they were some of the some of the few survivors of the targeting of that school. One of those children did not live. The other two, when I left a few days later, were still alive. The destruction we see in Gaza is very clear, and we are trying to, as a group, work collaboratively with a number of groups and others. And Mahmoud Lobani, who is a colleague and a man who has clearly got a fantastic mission and a lot on his hands, and we'll talk to you later. Our job is to collaborate with people like him and the Gaza Education Medics Group, and also others like Madrina Trust and IMED 2000, to try and bring a collaborative approach to how we deal with the physical destruction of medical education, but also to deal with the ramifications of targeting of particular medics and educators. We have from FKMS a couple of our graduates, teaching fellows, who were arrested and detained by the Israeli forces. One of them has come back out again, and we've seen pictures of him only 2 weeks ago, looking emaciated and having gone through an awful experience. And I know this awful experience because I spoke myself to two patients who had been in detention for 50 days or so, and I could see the broken ribs, I could see the swollen wrist from the handcuffs. And in this particular man, one particular man who was wheelchair bound, he was handcuffed and blindfolded for 50 days. This is a man who's wheelchair bound. He came out with some horrendous pressure sores as a result. The difficulties we have are that there is no infrastructure at the moment in Gaza. That's been destroyed. The need to replace the teaching system is going to be very much dependent on online, what's available online. There are no reliable online services and no internet which is reliable in Gaza. The large number of students presents a particular problem. At the moment, the final year medical students, there are roughly 150 from each medical school who are in their final year. That's 300 students that need to complete their education. In theory, they should have become doctors this coming summer. And unfortunately, that's going to be delayed to allow them to finish their education. How do we deal with the traumatized staff and the students? And I cannot understate the trauma that they are going through. They need a break. They need some time to heal themselves and for us to help them with that healing process. And of course, most importantly, from our point of view, is the coordination. How do we coordinate as a group to ensure that we don't duplicate work, that what we do is productive? Everyone wants to help. A lot of people want to help. We must ensure that our energies are directed in a good manner, in the right manner, in the right direction, in a collaborative manner, so that we all use the skills that we have. FGMS has the expertise. We have experience over many years, and we have a good track record. I think we are seen as a trustworthy partner by many of our colleagues in Palestine and outside of Palestine. So I would say, I would hope that we can work together to reset and to explore all the options that we have, and to expand very quickly what capacity that we have to ensure we do that.